deep breath. It'll be the last fresh air you'll get for a while.
Cargo lane cleared for descent to level 1313.
The rings aren't on Coruscant. They're underneath it. It's a long way down. It gets a lot dirtier where we're headed.
You've reached level 1313. Cargo lane cleared for descent to level 1313.
Catch a deep breath. It'll be the last fresh air you'll get for a while.
Fresh air is overrated.
Let's see how you feel about that after you get 1,000 levels down.
Something's not right here.
Let's check.
Hold on!
Was that really necessary?
Nope!
I'm heading inside.
What's up everyone, Anthony Gallegos here along with Dominic, creative director, and Peter, producer at LucasArts, and they are here to talk to us about Star Wars 1313. Dominic, in the, I guess the most briefest of terms, what is Star Wars 1313? Like, why is it called 1313?
So it's a game about being a bounty hunter in this place called 1313. And 1313 is this criminal underworld of Star Wars. And the reason it's called 1313 is because this planet, Coruscant, is made up of thousands and thousands of levels. And 1313 is the number of the level that we're on.
And so, I mean, obviously our character, you know, he's this bounty hunter, but, you know, we know he's going to get wrapped up into this epic story. I mean, story is one of the biggest components for you guys, you know, so I know that you guys want to do, you have cutscenes, but they're not framed like a typical cutscene where they take away control. It's like, it's more of a seamless experience between cutscene and gameplay. You don't want to have, I guess you don't want to draw people out of the experience.
No, exactly. The consistency between those two things is really, really important. So all of the cutscenes are obviously rendered in real time using the same in-game engine that you have when you're playing. All the assets are the same, so you can't really tell the difference visually, at least. And we always try and keep the cutscene elements to a minimum, and they're just there to kind of tee up and give context to the gameplay.
You know, obviously this is the first internally developed LucasArts game in a while, but also it's a different approach for Lucas in general. You know, it's not only you guys here at LucasArts doing it, but how have you guys, I guess, what's the process been like, you know, working with Industrial Light and Magic, Lucasfilm Animation, you know, Skywalker Sound?
Well, I think we've been doing our best to let the game's needs really drive where we look for that crossover opportunity. And the idea of finding those places to leverage the artistic expertise, the additional technological backup that we need, we're always looking for that next kind of high bar expression to put the player in these amazing situations in this amazing world. And it's been actually a wonderful experience so far. The folks who've jumped in to help out are, you know, gamers themselves, and just really interested in what's possible in the real-time technology with the engines these days.
So without delving too much into the story details, like, you know, this is set in between the first trilogy and the second trilogy, and it involves, I mean, you know, from the little gameplay footage we've seen so far and stuff, it involves a whole new cast of characters. Like the characters that we're going to get introduced to this is a new vein of Star Wars. We're not just going to hear another game with Luke Skywalker or Han Solo. Not that I don't love them, I do. But I'm just saying that, you know, we're actually going to get to see, like, you know, new characters and get to see new Star Wars stories. I know that, you know, the game gets talked about as a mature thing, but it's not mature in like a gratuitous, like, let's see blood and guts. It's more of telling a darker Star Wars story.
Exactly. You know, I think that sometimes games pursue an M rating because of this desire to do something gratuitously gory. And that's just not what we're doing at all. I just don't think those things kind of go with Star Wars, really. So when we talk about making something that's mature themed, it really is about those characters, the type of story content we're going to be dealing with, and the kind of things that they are motivated by, and just the world itself as well.
Yeah, I think when I was seeing it, I kind of picked up in that, in the sort of the way that you guys use lighting in that. To me, I think in the way I framed it in the story, which you can read in IGN, you can plug. You can. It's more like to me. It felt more like Mos Eisley Cantina, less like, you know, scenes like the Ewok Village or maybe Naboo or something like that, right? It's like it is that dingy sort of dark side of Star Wars, where it's like, you know, it's a place where you like it's real. It feels like this is like where real aliens and people live, like not the common folk, not necessarily the heroes.
And I think that's what Dom and the team have been looking for, is to try and ground the entire story and the experiences. A lot less exposure to anything like the Jedi powers, much more a lethal environment where a lot of the weaponry, the dangers of the world that you're in have that a much closer impact to the player. So it does add to that overall dark and gritty feel that we're going for.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I think is worth pointing out, right? It's like, you know, everyone thinks of Star Wars games, right? They think of lightsabers and the Force. This is taking us in a totally different direction, right?
No, I mean, we talk a lot about how the danger of this world needs to live in the moment-to-moment gameplay. And so we've got mechanics that are about a character who's limited by a range of human ability, and the extraordinary things you get to do are very much based around this gear, the bounty hunter gear and the gadgets. But ultimately, he's vulnerable in a way that I think is easier to relate to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, right? Like when we see a Jedi falling into movies, you always know that he has this magical power where he's going to slow himself down and save him. But in the footage that you guys have now seen, it's like, you know, this character, this hunter that's swinging in from this thing. If he falls, it's that's it for him, right? I do think that there is sort of something to be said about a Star Wars character that is vulnerable, I guess. In
a little more grounded, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, for you guys, it has to be daunting, right? To try and write a new Star Wars narrative, you know, like in a universe that is so fleshed out and crafted. I mean, I can only imagine the enormous sense of pressure you must feel.
I mean, fan expectation is it's a privilege, really, but it is something that you have to be incredibly careful with. And we just spend huge amounts of time and effort desperately trying to get that right and get the tone right and be authentic and convincing in the way we handle it.
Yeah, I mean, characters are a big deal to Star Wars fans, right? Absolutely. I mean, whether it's old canonical characters or creating new ones. But I think one of the important things about characters is, you know, faces, and you guys have come a long way with that. Is that something you guys have been working with in ILM to really do the facial capture? And
we were one of the benefits of being able to talk with everybody from the other companies and share amongst the technology and the art has been those opportunities to kind of level up on a lot of those performances. And we wanted to be able to, in this in this world, populate it with a lot of strong characters that would help kind of reinforce to the player the situations that they're in, the danger that they're having to deal with, and it's just been I don't know, it's been a really fun time kind of putting all those performances together.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you guys right now, as a Star Wars fan, it looks fantastic.
Right on.
I can't wait to find out more story, when it's coming out and all that. You know, I love Star Wars, but for all that, we should, I guess, you know, we should finish up. So thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
It's not often that you get to walk into a project that has already so much of a fan base and so many people that really care for something. So it's good for us, and I really appreciate that we're like treating it with such care and honoring the canon and trying to just take care of our fans, but at the same time we're trying to surprise them.
I think this is the first time you've really seen full body performance capture, you know, motion, you know, DP lighting with, you know, lights that behave the way we would expect them to behave in a motion picture context, all running real time. So I think it is a landmark moment. Are we the only ones? No, I think other people are beginning to go down the same path. But I think it's the first time you've really seen this sort of high, you know, convergence of the two worlds of media to such a level.
What we tried to aim for here was just more realistic performance. We wanted to just ask them to behave normally, to speak their lines in character, but not trying to be too arch or too reserved. And so sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, so sometimes we need to make a couple of adjustments.
You know, it's an interesting time because, you know, with modern computer graphics hardware, the way it's going, you know, it's going to be pretty hard to tell the difference between something that is interactive and rendered real time and something that was done for either, you know, an animated TV show or even a live action thing. 10 years from now, I'm pretty sure that, you know, you extrapolate where we've gone, you know, with the console generations and the changes in video and ATI hardware, we're getting to the point right now that we're sort of matching the quality of an animated movie 7, 8 years ago, and another 10 years from now, it's just going to be indistinguishable from reality.
The approach that we've been taking is to go back to the original drawings, the original thinking around those designs. Think what was Joe Johnston doing, what was Ralph McQuarrie doing, what was the model department picking up on, and go, where were their references? You know, so we've got the surface of Coruscant, yeah, but that's New York in the 40s, or that's, and we go back, and the important thing for us is that we ground the player in a city, and then we ground the player in a Star Wars city. So we always, like, in terms of our references outside of Star Wars, we're going back to real world locations. We're going to New York, we're going to European cities, we're going to Kowloon, we're going to Hong Kong, Shanghai, like all, the city is a mix of different styles and different kind of eras. It's been around for a while and it's been heavily modified over the years.
Technique-wise, in terms of the facial capture side, we really just started with the tech from Hulk and just used that to move forward. Where surprises ended up coming in were, like on a film side, we're used to cutting things up a lot more. We're used to just sort of working. The director has a whole facility, people are doing audio, all that stuff. Somebody else is worrying about all that stuff, and we're able to focus a little bit more. Since this is happening in LucasArts and we're doing all of it internally, now all of a sudden I'm like, lip sync, very, very important, and all the things that we need to worry about of how, like, 1 frame, 2 frames off can just kill the whole performance, can make the lip sync look mushy, can make it look soft, and can take a whole lot of hard work and throw it out.
The vibe that we wanted from this is, you know, this really dense urban cityscape that we wanted to work in. And, you know, honestly, like, Coruscant already has so much of that going on for us, you know. And thousands and thousands of levels that have never really been investigated. And so an enormous opportunity for us to explore that space. And we have these little, what we call, like, living world areas where it's an opportunity for us to just slow the pace of the game down a bit and have you absorb something like, you know, one of the street scenes or a cool location. You know, the city's pretty organic in terms of, like, if you were literally to walk through it from district to district, there would be a blend between the districts as you walk through. I mean, much like you'd experience in any major city. It's just a little bit more condensed, so you'll see the spaces change a little faster than you might otherwise expect.
You know, we had a very tight schedule and lots of people working, So we had to be pretty disciplined in terms of what we decided to change and what we just didn't decide to change. But it was pretty nice to be able to sit down with our lead lighting technician, Roger Cords, at the very end on the last day before we drove down to LA to E3 and tweak the lighting and the color grading a little bit, all interactively. It does definitely, it's sort of a new world for a VFX person for sure.